Hello and welcome to this week's video on My Hero Academia. This week we're reviewing episode 3 of volume 3 of Vigilantes. Way! I don't know why I broke out into song there, but you get the idea. You know the rules and so do I. Let me know what you thought about this particular episode in the comment section down below, and I will get back to you shortly, either directly in the comments themselves or towards the end of a future video. And whilst you're there, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, click the bell, and do all the YouTube stuff that YouTube wants you to do, because YouTube is an increasingly scary place for small content creators. Support your local small content creator today. It will do them a power of good. Now on to the review, and a big thank you to everyone who has liked and subscribed over the past few weeks or so. We're getting very, very close to 100 subscribers. It will be fantastic to do that by the end of the year. With all that said and done, now let's properly get into the review, and we start, as what we often do, with the positives and getting into the headlines for this week's review. The headlines are that this was a decent episode, setting up a fun, new, interesting character. We got some great little character moments with our main cast, and there was a neat slice of action to be found throughout all of it. I will admit that I am kind of reluctant to spend most of this review talking about the introduction of Captain Celebrity, though with that said, his introduction is pretty much the whole core of the entire episode. So yeah, whilst there are some other moments happening within this particular episode, other things that spin off from this, pretty much the entire meat of this episode is just about him. Yes, we do get a shot of B lurking in the background, B looking sinister, no doubt getting up to even more B stuff, and you know, the action bit that we get towards the start of it was fun too, with Crawler trying to beat that motorcycling villain, and their quirk was kind of neat, a nice little surprise, I suppose. And of course, Crawler saving the little pupper was cute too, but hey, this week it's all about CC, baby, yeah! Captain Celebrity, he is a selfish, arrogant, self-important prick, and I really do like that. On the rare occasions we have had some shady heroes in My Hero Academia, usually in the main series itself, they've either been so transparently evil, the fact that they've not been called out of being so evil is kind of maddening, or alternatively they have such a super heavy backstory which, whilst oftentimes is brilliantly well written and brilliantly well executed, it just pretty much exists to highlight an issue that was, to be blunt, never really an issue or never really a factor in that entire world up until that point that character came along. I won't give any examples for anyone who hasn't seen the main series, but I think you can kind of guess the people I'm hinting to here. With this week, with Captain Celebrity, that isn't the case. We have a hero who is just a total shit. Oh sure, we've had heroes who are bad, heroes have been involved in dumb things, heroes that have been just kind of bastards in their own right, but this guy is just a shit. He's doing this pretty much because it benefits him financially. He's not doing it because he thinks he's serving some kind of alternate greater good. He's not doing this because he has some kind of alternate dogma or belief. He's not a Meta Liberation Army nutcase. He's just a shit. And I really just like that. He isn't in this for the greater good. He's not in this because he has some kind of bigger belief. From what we see of him here and now, he's just in it for the money, and he's just here because it gets people cheering him on. I mean, sure, if he was a villain, that would likely pay more, you know. You got fair fewer taxes to pay when you spend your time robbing banks and no one knows that you're doing it. And I'm sure that if he ever crosses paths with Stain, he'll become a victim of Stain, you know. He'll be this perfect antidote to make Stain look less of a dummy. You know, he's the perfect kind of foil to Stain. Captain Celebrity represents everything that's wrong with hero society. So it feels like he's being almost lab-grown to be the perfect thing to justify Stain getting punched on the nose and suddenly changing his entire worldview. Providing, of course, that he can beat someone that actually has more powers than, well, seemingly All Might. He's like this own little mini Superman is Captain Celebrity. So how Stain would do against him, I really don't know. Hey, maybe Captain Celebrity beats Stain up and his worldview changes again. Who knows? I'm sorry, I think Captain Celebrity is just a brilliantly crap person. It's just kind of astounding. He's just so impeccably selfish and self-serving that it's really brilliant to see. I can guarantee you some people are going to find him to be a little bit beyond the pale for various reasons. I mean, for a start, I think that the first American character that we've had in this series, or at least this part of the series, being a bragging, boastful shit, probably pushes a few buttons for some people. And of course, it's the simple fact that our biggest character that we're being introduced thus far into this new volume, aside from Makoto, is Captain Celebrity, who is feeling like he's being very heavily set up to be some form of adversary to our heroes, is again going to push some buttons, because let's face it, this guy's probably going to be the main threat, and I use that word loosely, for the remainder of this series, or rather the remainder of this volume. Our heroes are going to have to deal with him in some way, shape or form. They're going to have to expose him for the fraud that he really is. They're going to have to try and get one up on him and win the hearts and minds of the locals, whilst they have to deal with the fact that they're doing it illegally. You know, I think that it's an interesting setup. It's something that could really go in its own cool little direction. I will admit that his character does remind me of one from the original run of the Powerpuff Girls cartoon called Major Man, who was a superhero that, despite having superpowers of his own, decided to save fake disasters and problems so he could save people from them. He would cause problems and then save people from them, but really he was just kind of a coward who was in it for the money, which is the kind of vibe that I'm getting from this guy. It feels like, you know, we're going to learn a little bit more about the real reasons why he moved to Japan. They do hint towards it in this episode where we talk about, yeah, well, he's had a few legal problems over in America, so he's come over here to, you know, keep the home fires burning, keep his career ticking over. Though it will be interesting to see what exactly he did that forced him to have to relocate to Japan, because it would have to be embarrassing and legally problematic enough to force him to relocate, but not so legally problematic that he should be in prison over it. Because that's the thing that I'm really interested in, how they're going to end up balancing that out. Because it's like I've mentioned previously with other shady heroes, if it's so transparently villainous that he should be in prison by now, it's going to undermine really how he is right now. Like, this guy just feels like he's such a selfish, self-serving shit that he probably wasn't looking the right way, or he got a little bit over-enthusiastic with his power. You know, we see the shot of him lifting the cruise ship out of the harbour, and maybe when maybe dropped that on a warehouse or something that was full of consumer electronics, or when he saved the mayor or something, he smashed through a bunch of buildings that he shouldn't have smashed through. No one got hurt, it just cost a lot of money, you know, that kind of thing. The kind of thing they were bitching and moaning about towards the start of the first Incredibles movie. You know, that kind of deal. He got into legal difficulties and now he's had to move on. Because if it turns out actually he's not just a shit, he's a secret bastard, then that's gonna go into a weird direction. I'm not really comfortable with this character. Though I will say, as a bonus little thing that I really liked about this character is the theme song that we get for him midway through the episode. I will admit, I'm not exactly sure how effective a theme song can really be translated in a manga or a comic book, but I like the idea behind it. It seems to have a similar kind of beat and sound to it, like the theme tune to the Conan the Barbarian Saturday morning cartoon from the 1990s. Like, I really like that. I hope that if this ever does get its own anime, they just really go into town when they have this little bit, just giving this real bombastic and triumphant theme music as he's saving the day, and in the background you got Crawler being pipped at the post every last second of Crawler's just about to save something. Then you got CC, he saves the day, CC, he's gonna save the day, and just all the other heroes just kind of getting cooked in the background. I was about to save that person. As we end up seeing time and again with poor old Crawler through this entire episode. Just when he's about to save the day, Captain Celebrity comes in and fucks it up for him. Even when he tried to save the dog, Captain Celebrity flies back in and gives his hoodie yet another autograph on it. You know, one thing I will say, and I'm not going to say this is a negative because I think it's just a weird quirk with the character, is that I think that Crawler, if he really is going to be so pissy about his trademark hoodies getting damaged and written over. He shouldn't be wearing them out when he's doing vigilante stuff, for Christ's sake. I mean, come on. If this stuff really means so much to you, just keep it in the wardrobe. Maybe when you go out in the knockoff version or something different. Like a few episodes ago in the first volume, you got the thing of Knuckle Duster recommending that he uses like motorcyclist gear so that it helps protect him from getting knocked about a bit. He could do that. Like, he doesn't need to wear the trademark, probably equivalent to £500 hoodie when he's doing this stuff. But hey ho. Oh, alternatively, he could buy himself a trademarked Captain Celebrity outfit and then just get it fucked up beyond belief. Because then if Captain Celebrity comes up to him and sees he's wearing it and sees it's knackered, for the sake of, public relations, you'll have to give him another free one. And then another free one. And then another free one. Oh, dearie. I'm sorry, I just really do like this whole idea. I like Captain Celebrity as a character. He's such a weaselly little shit. I want to see where they go with him. And I do hope that they don't end up going down the route of just using him as cannon fodder for Stain, or whatever the hell he's calling himself this week. Like, I like characters like this. I like these kind of selfish, self-serving characters. They're a nice antidote and a nice little counterpoint to when we have more meaningful main characters. Though, all that said, let us get into the negatives. And I can't really say that this is a negative in the traditional sense of the word of it, because I can't really hold this against the writers or the artists of this particular episode, at least not in a way that doesn't just descend into nitpicking and bitching and moaning about stuff that ultimately is insubstantial to what we're seeing here. But I have to say that, and this is a similar thing that I've said to last week's episode again, if I'm remembering correctly, which is the fact that this episode just feels like more setup than payoff. Which is understandable. This week we're introduced to Captain Celebrity as a character and a concept. This is, of course, itself calling back to the previous week's episodes when we've discussed the history of hero culture and how it has grown and the difference between the heroes those who became licensed heroes and those who had to continue on as vigilantes. As mentioned last week, the whole thing was that the reason why heroes became heroes is because they were the most popular. And those that weren't popular had to continue being vigilantes or fall to villainy or just hang up their cloak and just let the licensed pro heroes get to it. And with the introduction of Captain Celebrity, we're seeing the case study version of that. We've got Captain Celebrity, who is more popular and is more interesting and a lot more celebrated than Crawler and his friends. And we're going to get this contrast between the two groups. Who is the true hero here? Great idea. I like to see where all this will end up going. But the problem that I have in this particular episode is that we're just setting up for that. I have no problem with it, and I look forward to see how they develop it, but this week it's pretty much all exclusively set up. There's not a lot of payoff here. There's not even that much payoff with the things that are just exclusive to this particular episode. We get the bit where the villains knocking stuff about, and our heroes go in to save the day. Crawler attempts to save the little pupper, and he gets kind of usurped, which has some payoff, but it's not substantial enough to me. And we'll see exactly how all this is going on. Like I say, I can't hold this against the episode because this is just where we are. If we look at this entire thing, what we've had with Vigilantes up to this point, and if it did get an anime, the last couple volumes would be their own season. This would be season 2. We're still only about 3 or so episodes into this, so it's just setting up for stuff that will end up coming and being developed for the remainder of this volume and the next volume. I get that. That is fine. Though with that said, it is kind of a case of I want something a little more substantial, though I can sit here and go, right, this episode is done and dusted, let's go on. Which sadly isn't quite the case here. Like, we'll be interested to see where it goes. There is still a part of me that is worried that Captain Celebrity is just going to end up becoming fodder for Stain. I hope that isn't the case, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe once Stain stopped pooping his pants after getting beaten up last time, we'll see more of him. But hey-ho, diddly-do, we move on. And just get into the overview and say that I really did love this episode quite a lot. I think that Captain Celebrity is just a fantastic character. He's not really like anything that we've had before. Yes, we've had shady heroes. Yes, we've had heroes who have fallen from grace. Yes, we've had heroes who, behind closed doors, are just a bastard. But this is one we've had who's just a shit from pretty much start to finish. And they set that up from the beginning. There's no ambiguity here. We know this guy ain't cool. We know this guy ain't good. But by golly, he's such a charismatic figure that I want to see more of, and I want to see where they go with him. And I hope that his end result in all of this isn't just, oh, Stain finishes him off because we live in a society. Which hopefully won't be the case, but we'll soon see about that. With all that said and done, however, let's get into Comment Corner. Once again, it's time for a comment from Big X1, who says, I thought this episode, this of course referring to last week's episode, was kind of lightweight, but it was fun. And thank you for your comment. I have to say that I think it's fair to say that it was a little bit lightweight upon reflection. Though with that said, I did enjoy last week's episode, mostly due to the comedy therein of just an entire episode that was pretty much spent just slagging off our main cast. It was a nice humanising little experiment, a nice humanising little adventure for them all. I will like to say that I do like the kind of tone that we're getting into with My Hero Vigilantes, as I'm going to call it for the sake of shortness right here and now, because it feels as though it's starting to develop its own personality. There's a slightly more cheeky sense of humour to it without getting cheeky in a problematic way, if you understand what I'm meaning. It's mostly jokes at the expense of the characters and the world that they're in. They're very situational jokes, which I appreciate. I always appreciate situational jokes, and again, I'm just thinking about what a shit that Captain Celebrity is. That character could be a hell of a lot of fun going forward, and I hope they could stick the landing with that, because by gum. As I've said in the past, I've been wanting a character like this to enter into the My Hero Academia series for quite some time. Someone that is pretty much just in it for the money and for the celebrity of it all. That itself would be a good idea for a spin-off, wouldn't it? Like, it is just a character who really is just in it for the money and in for it for the kudos and the head pats and what have you. Then maybe as the course of the series goes on, they learn to become a real hero. Because, you know, we've got to have a moral angle to all of this. You know, imagine Blackadder but with superheroes. That would be neat. That'd be cool. You know, Captain Celebrity, but he learns to not be a shit. Anyway, like I say, thank you for your comment and thank you for watching this week's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment down below. Do that kind of YouTubey stuff. You know the deal right now. Hopefully, we can get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. We're very close. At the time of recording, we are 97 subscribers. 3 away, folks. Can we do it? Well, hopefully we can, and we won't lose anyone along the way. Anyway, thank you all for listening, and see you next time. Goodbye! Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the bell, and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do. Go on, it'll do me a power of good. Until next time, my friends, goodbye!